position isn't very important, because we just need to settle this in a way that's not going to cause a whole lot of irritating and drawn out unnecessary problems for all involved in the future. So I think that the simplest thing to do is just to settle the problem, and in whatever the path of least resistance, as Carrie said, that would seem to be the sensiblest thing to do, and then just do the negotiations at a more appropriate time.
Tracy, did you want to speak, or the person below on the list, in the grid text? I can't pronounce your name, sorry.
Hello, I'll speak, but I'm not sure if my mic is working properly. Can you give me a heads up if you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Hi, I'm Casey. First time on TeamSpeak. I've just been sitting here listening. I was very quickly just reading through David's article as well. I have to say I do probably agree with Damon and Cindy on that. We should probably just take it down, just so we don't cause any more problems. And just if Peter Joseph is worried about it, then we don't really want to upset anybody. That's kind of where. And I think if we really wanted to discuss it further, we can do that after the article is taken down. That's just my opinion on it. But,
would the last person at the bottom of the list like to speak in the grid text?
It's actually Russian, not Greek, and this is probably, he spam messages that had nothing to do with our conversation. Maybe there's a possibility that it's in spam. I think the request by Peter Joseph is very commonsensical and is very reasonable, even though it's very serious if we don't comply, because there is real damage to the Zeitgeist movement and the very difficult but very important relationships between the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project. That sort of criticism can be completely unbranded and not hosted by the official website at all. And I also believe that if, as Carrie is saying, we are not liable by having not broken any rules, it would make sense to push or create a rule to prevent this from happening in the future, particularly with the Venus Project having a very special case, because it's very sensitive, so as to ensure that there are no negative comments coming from an official Zeitgeist movement channel to the Venus Project, as simple as that.
Is it legally possible for us to create an unofficial Zeitgeist movement amongst us?
I think every chapter is doing that on a legal perspective, and every chapter is working autonomously. They really have a lot of chapters with a lot of autonomy until, Peter or the GCA that chapter doesn't do something that they don't like. And to be frank, things like that happen basically. Either you comply with whatever the GCA or Peter says, or you'll be removed for whatever reasons they rationalize over there. So yes, it is possible definitely to do that.
Personally, I think it's bullshit, but I guess it's not worth risking dividing the Zeitgeist movement, and that we should just pull out the article straight away and then just try and negotiate something while it's pulled out of circulation, and if nothing can be reached, then do it in an unofficial chapter. David, do you want to say something? Or Damon?
My perspective is, ultimately, the decision comes down to three options, and how we're going to play those three options, and what we're going to think, what ideas will come out of that, that's another story. The first option is either we conform and we abide with with the threat, basically from Peter. The other one is we will be creative and think around some kind of a compromise. Or the third one, we don't abide with the threat and see what happens. So either become unofficial, or whatever will happen after that. And out of that, of course, there can be variations. How are we going to decide? Are we going to establish the Spirit of the Times movement, or are we going to the Bacon movement, or whatever we'll think of, or whatever? Are we just going to continue? And that's also an option. I ultimately think that Peter is overreacting, and I've got suspicions that he is being played on by other people, and it's my suspicion, and I cannot confirm that. And I'm saying that on the record, I guess, right now. But I'm thinking basically there's some other people whispering to his ear other things that there should be. Another point is that what the Spirit of the Times, that is the article I have written, is not against the protocols. That is how chapters should conduct their activism. One of the protocols is stipulating that. I'll find it and I'll link it over here if someone wants to read it, but it's generally on ZN chapters. Can be found on znchapters.net. There's nothing against such an approach over there. I'm not bashing them. I'm not criticizing them. I'm providing an informed opinion about the Venus Project and how they conduct themselves, and I'm providing how they can improve it. I see it. My perspective is that I see it that my art was strictly coming from a scientific perspective, as much as that matter can be approached from a scientific perspective, where criticism is provided, and I welcome criticisms about what I have said or defenses of their perspective and their proposals. But the conclusion I have made to them that they need to work more on a scientific basis for their proposals to work. Again, it's not bashing. I'm coming from as much as possible as it is from a scientific perspective, and it's a delicate matter because we were affiliated with them, and that's the crux of it here, I guess. We don't want to disturb your teacher even if you know he's wrong. At least I think he's actually wrong.
Yeah, I think that's right, and we just need to give them a little bit more time, perhaps, to see that, because nobody's perfect. Even Jacques Fresco, and a lot of people have pointed out Jacques Fresco's flaws in his approach to running the Venus Project, and they seem to be really worried about that at the moment, that article. So if they want it taken down, then I think it's sensible to take it down and then debate it sort of off the air sort of thing, so that it's not an issue, but we can still get our point across without having to make some sort of a possible legal case or whatever.
I'd like to say, revolutionist, if you'd like to speak, because you haven't heard you say yet, so if you'd like to say something, please, you're welcome now. Would you like to say something then, if you haven't had a chance to have anything else to say?
No, I'm okay. I'm just sitting back, taking it all in, and I'm not really sure what to say.
Yeah. Anyway, someone that hasn't spoken, I think, I'm just measuring, is revolutionist, and he's next, but I'll put on Josh, because he wants to speak.
The last time I spoke, I asked a question, but no one answered it. The question was, would we prefer to be official and listen to what Peter Joseph says and do what he says, or do we prefer to be unofficial and do what we want? I'd like to get a consensus on this.
My perspective on that is neither of the two, and both. We want to be official, but we're not official zeitgeists. I've already, said that I am Damon, and I have my own point of view, and people I know have their own point of view. We're not anything official, but we choose to maintain an official zeitgeist movement because that's just convenience that's there, just for everybody to have a consensus. And that's helpful in its own respect, so I don't think that we need to get rid of the official Australian zeitgeist chapter, but it's as well, I think that people should definitely have their own perspectives on things, and there is definitely room for unofficial Zeitgeist chapters and unofficial opinions of the official chapters.
Revolutionist, would you like to say something? To have your own say, as informed or whatever as it is, just it's your turn because you haven't said anything. Ziggy, you haven't said anything lately. Do you want to speak up?
Well, just to iterate my position, I think protocols are very important, but also common sense and human relationships between people that are highly regarded as an authority in the movement are important, and in a sense and to some degree they have high priority than the protocols, because the protocols are a work in progress and can never match the kind of issues and responsiveness that can spawn from real world human relationships. And people that are highly regarded as voices of the Zeitgeist movement, because they have created a lot of material, or because they are well trusted by the general public. They have some sort of an informal special power. And even if Peter Joseph reacted here, I think his reaction has two important points. One is that he might be personally the target of being sued, so that's a concern that is very important, because we are not dealing here with the movement being a target, but a single individual being a target, and that changes things quite a lot. And secondly, Peter Joseph also states that it has been very difficult to ease the relationships between the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project, and even if it's only his perception that things are not so bad, that things are so stretchy at the moment, and maybe they are not so. It's important to keep in mind that there is a very special and direct relationship between Peter Joseph and Jacques Fresco. They were very close, and suddenly they had this very nasty distancing. So it goes beyond the movement politics, and it's important to be considerate of this kind of issue that is existing in the realm of the emotions, maybe, but is highly relevant. It may be even more relevant than the issues between the movements themselves, because they can cause, if the relationships degrade personally between them, it can quickly transcend into a degradation between the relationships of the movements, and that would not be beneficial at all for anyone, for each one of the movements individually, and us as a whole, for the purpose of implementing a resource-based economy someday. So the protocols are important as a guideline, but I think also there are certain circumstances in which you need to place the protocols aside or give higher priority to interpersonal relationships between this kind of people, and then adjust the protocols accordingly to avoid this kind of problems in the future.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Go ahead.
On the message I got on my phone, it said something about we have been given 24 hours to make a decision regarding whether we're part of the movement, or I don't get that.
Right. Long story short, I have written an article titled "The Debunking the News Project" that was published on the Spirit of the Times magazine in the latest issue. It was read by Roxanne. She has emailed us and she didn't like it. What I understand that it went eventually, Peter was informed about that article. I was trying to inform him about it before, but that's another story. And yes, and Peter has given us a notice of a threat. It's a threat in my opinion, that we need to remove that article from circulation. Our Australian shall be officialized. That's the short version of it.
So if I get this straight, we must censor what you are saying, or else. Jawohl.
Yeah, kind of like, that's how I see it. Apart from that, I have a lot of copies of this magazine printed and just beneath the table. And I'll be really saddened if I have to scrape all of them and redo the whole magazine and resend everything. And there's also material attachment that I personally have at least. But yeah.
It does seem that Peter Joseph is overreacting. It just seems to me that, it would be easier to just do whatever he wants us to do, and then have a proper discussion about it at some point when he's not overreacting. Like Ziggy made a good point about.
I'm sorry to say, but dude, that to me sounds like a police officer telling you to do something just because he wants you to do it, and he feels that it's uncomfortable for him, but yet you've got every right to do what you want to do. You're not. Sorry. I really don't mean to do that. I've got a really bad habit of cutting people off. I'm really sorry about that. If I do that in the future, tell me to fuck off.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you to fuck off, because I never do that to anybody unless they really do something that pisses me off. And I'm not going to do that to Peter Joseph either. I think that there's, plenty of opportunity to settle this when the dust has settled, I don't think we need to make a big issue out of this right now. I think that it may be a bit of a bummer, we have to maybe, take this stuff down, but we might as well just not make a big issue out of it. I think if we want to make a big issue of it later on down the track, we can do, but there's no point in knee-jerk reacting to somebody's knee-jerk reaction. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree to a form, Damon. And what I meant to say was, if I cut you off again, you can personally tell me to fuck off, and I won't take it personally. I'll know what you mean. And I'm a very straightforward person. Ask Dave about me. I'm not really. I'm not one that takes offence to things very easily. But my point that I was trying to make was It was pretty simple. If Peter takes that approach, then I tend to think it's an emotional reaction for whatever reason. Now, if anyone tells me to jump, I'm going to pretty much tell them where to go. That's just me. I don't, partially me being in this movement is for the fact that it's supposed to be a grassroots movement from the people, for the people type thing. And we're supposed to not have this leadership structure and everything else that I became so acclimatized to within the military. That once I came out into civilian life, I realised that, we're not really free at all. What is this joke about? So, I don't know, I've seen a similar thing where we're told one thing, but the other thing is the reality.
Yeah, Peter was mentioning earlier that this isn't something that some group of central zeitgeisters has decided to do. This. Peter Joseph
agree with you. I see where you're coming from there. However, my fear on that is the personality type that we're dealing with possibly won't want to accept the other side of the argument. In fact, I've got a good friend. He may have already made up his mind, and that's where he's drawing. And still left him. I could be wrong. I am, but
where I'm coming from is if we give him this chance to test the way that we thought, then we've got all the more a righteous position to be justifying arguments. If we are right and we've taken every possible chance to prove for him to prove that his position is right, then we've got a better standpoint in the future to say that we've been reasonable, so he should be too.
I see where you're coming from, and your argument makes perfect logic. I can't pull that logic apart and find any flaws, besides to say that we're dealing with Peter Joseph, and that's it. Look, I noticed that happen in one of the global chapter meetings where the new server, this server that we're on right now, was announced. So this actually took place on the old server. Now, what really focused on this point and what really validated in my mind was when Gilbert was talking and was explaining the structure of the movement, or the server and the way it's going to operate. There was a woman from one of the French chapters who piped up and said, but I thought this was our movement. Then Peter piped up and said, oh, hold on, let me speak here. I'll take it over from here. And went into an hour and a half long speech about why the movement why the server is going to be changed and locked down, and and all this other stuff. It sounded to me like somebody telling you to do something because of safety reasons, but not actually telling you what the safety reasons are. What part of your safety is particularly in danger. They just want you to accept that what they're telling you is the truth. This is it. Now, this is what we're going to do. Toe the line or fuck off. And again, I'm sorry to be blunt, but that's the message I got, and this is the message I'm continuously getting. So, I've made myself be clear to Carrie and Dave before, whereas I've said that after the recent development in movement and the way things have been handled, I really don't know if I want to spend my time towing the line. I could be engaging myself in other areas, just simply talking to the people in my local area, or my local community, and getting the ideas across to them, or at least trying to string all the people who have already waken up together, rather than trying to wake more people up.
I'm really not interested in discussing this political bullshit, but Eugene thinks that someone should step in and facilitate, so maybe someone wants to step up and do that.
Eugene and Josh, I'd love to step up and sort it out. I'm a pretty good negotiator. I like to communicate with people and get their side of the point, but again, I don't think you guys are really comprehending the significance of having to deal with Peter Joseph. I think what you guys are missing is that, and what I should be telling you is that he feels he owns the movement, in my opinion, and anything that anyone does outside that boundary within his mind, and nobody knows what that is, then they're going to put that foot out of line. There's not going to be much negotiation when it comes to that. But anyway, sorry, Arts, go for it.
Yeah, I think Eugene means to facilitate this meeting. Right now, we're going to start officially the meeting at 8 o'clock EST. Right now, it's just a chit-chat, but since Eugene is making a suggestion for someone to set up and facilitate, I'm loving that suggestion. I usually am doing that, but since I'm here like that, I don't feel comfortable directly even to do that. So I'll wait for someone else to do that instead.
Well, I haven't had your guys' perspective on this. Karen, you said that you're not quite sure whether you want an official like both the Movement Australia or an unofficial one. Really, it's not that here or there to me. But it doesn't matter to me. It's just a technical difference, isn't it? But that I don't know the history. I don't know what Peter Joseph has been like to deal with in the past and what the politics that you've experienced carry. But yeah, I mean, my position would be to just not make any quick decisions unless there's, I don't know, maybe this is not a quick decision. Maybe there's been a history of this stuff, and at some point we need to draw a line. But I don't know. My position would be to draw a line only when it's absolutely needed, and to just try and negotiate in between now and when you actually have to definitely take a decisive action against, or a clear public sort of message against the problem of Peter Joseph being autocratic. I would have thought that if enough people get together and talk to him behind the scenes sort of thing, then he could see the reason to it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on the money there, dude. But that's the problem. You should need to go behind the scenes and talk to the guy and to sway him. And if you do, how many others would have to do that as well in order to sway his decision one way or another? That's bad leadership, dude. If you want to be a leader in a group that hasn't got a leader.
Let's organize ourselves a little bit first, and as Eugene suggested, we do need a facilitator for that. So just to clarify, our facilitator's position is just to make sure that we stick with one topic and for everyone to speak and have their say and have their go and make sure not infighting as well in between. So whenever that happens, but I don't think that will happen in Australian chapter. We're pretty blunt with our decision, with our opinions, and somehow we're also disaffected by each other's bluntness. Still, who would like to facilitate this meeting? One other guy, step up.
All right, somebody gives me the agenda, I'll facilitate.
No, there's no agenda. It's a simple question of that. Are we towing the line? Are we going for a compromise? Or are we not towing the line and see what's going to happen? That's the breakdown of the decisions that we're going to have to. And once we're going to choose the direction, then we have to decide what that direction exactly will be. For example, if we are towing the line and we're removing the article and we're burning the guides and telling everyone to return the guides, not the guides but the magazines, of which about 50 was sent, hard copies, and so on and so forth. So, we need to rectify and go with all the procedures and make sure that it's not in circulation, that document, and all that.
If we've got 24 hours to solve it, I would have thought, that, simplest thing would be to just try and weather the storm, so to speak, and then do the deliberations afterwards when we've got more time.
Well, here's the deal as far as I see it, okay? We either make a decision now to either toe the line or not, or make a decision now and we get booted out of the movement as an official chapter because we didn't make a decision. So, really, I don't think there's a decision to make. I think it's fucking clear.
So we need to have a vote now. How do we go about doing that?
Well, how do we go about doing that? I think it's best to, well, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I reckon it's probably best that we don't make a decision and allow the others to make a decision. So that way it's sort of like, well, and our decision will be that we've had a meeting, and we don't feel that we should be kicked out of the chapter. We don't feel that we should be kicked out of the movement. We don't feel that we should have to comply with anyone's personal opinion or ideas or even rules. In fact, we, as a movement, we are free to make our decisions through chapters. So, essentially, I think by approaching it that way, it will show what's really happening.
I would like to draw a comparison, and a little bit of comparison from history, in very recent history. I think it was in 2011 where Hamas in Israel, in Palestine, or supposedly Hamas in Palestine, from Palestine, have launched a rocket or something deadly onto Israel, in which Israel has responded with 100 times more rockets, phosphorus bombs and grenades, and killing civilians on the spot and children. There was a whole protest around the world because of that, from people saying basically to stop massacre. One of the reasons that flared up all that protest is because the Israel army has decided to bomb hospitals. They were active, there were actually children's hospitals, because there was a terrorist hiding in there, or one of the people who launched the rocket from Hamas, apparently. And the comparison is that, well, I don't think I need to explain to you guys, first of all, that bombing a hospital because something is wrong with it, or there's a terrorist hiding in it, is just bizarre for me, and obscenely wrong. But that's the comparison I want to draw. Even if my article is ultimately shit, and my article is totally something that it shouldn't be, that it's totally wrong on whatever logical perspective, ethical and political and whatsoever, so on and so forth, the whole chapter should not suffer because of that. We shouldn't cut off 4,000 people that are part of this chapter just because I did something wrong. It's the same mentality over here. Yeah, I'll just stop there.
Look, I see your point, and that's what I was trying to get at before. There's some other ulterior motive that's going on, whether it's to get you guys out of the movement, piss you guys off, or what it is, I don't know. But as far as I can tell, in our communications, you guys really been fundamental in trying to establish some ground rules, you know, and every time you do that, they seem to get changed on you. So, yeah, but you guys have never been ones to, quote unquote, toe the line anyway. So I think maybe it's been a problem from day dot.
I have to go, but I just wanted to say, if Carol or David, if you'd moderate the meeting and make sure everyone speaks equally. Okay, bye. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.
Before you go, Eugene, will you be back, or if not, what is your opinion or decision on it? Well, because I want to conclude your and George's opinion on this in a consensus.
I think that, personally, I think the damage can be negative if we become unofficial, but I think we should form our own unofficial zeitgeist movement, like the Ziggy has with WETK.
Is that in George's position?
Josh doesn't want anything to do with it.
Okay. Alright, no, I understand that, fair enough. Okay, thank you, Eugene. I hope to see you soon, man.
Yeah, I'll definitely catch up with you very soon. Okay, I'm going out. Bye, guys.
Hey, Mason, I'm going to paste in the chat the letter in question, or the letter why we're meeting up over here from PG himself. So we get through. Right now we have a conversation about it all. The meeting will start at 8 p.m. where we're going to make a scene after all this chatting. Probably we're going to chat a little bit more.
Lucas, can anyone hear me?
Yeah, mate.
Well, that's good for a change. Yeah, I was just reading below, and I was just wondering where we're at in terms of the chapter remaining as a chapter, because as far as I read it, all that we have to do is take off the article and everything will resolve itself.
Question, Carl.
I was just wondering if we intend to remove the article, because I think that would be the best option, to just take it down and try and move on, because I don't see the point in keeping it up there if it's just causing a lot of problems between the other chapters across the world.
I guess it comes down to, do you want me to say something, Carrie, or are you going to say something? Sure. It comes down to, if he's going to pull this sort of shit once, what stops him from doing it again, or someone else? That's my concern. Spirit of the Times is kind of like part of the movement, but not really, so he doesn't really have any authority to say shit, and to be honest, he's not really the leader, so...
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I don't support like anyone being a direct leader. Although it's kind of hard considering he is the face of the movement and does have a lot of control, whether you let me agree with it or not. Even if it's not a part of what the Zeitgeist movement stands for, to have someone have more power than anyone else. But I'm thinking, like, what's the point of keeping it on the website
that is my main concern, because as far as I read the article, I don't have a problem with it myself. I agree with a lot of what was said. I think there's a lot of interesting information in it. However, I think it may be an unnecessary distraction and might not really be of any value to be on the site anyway. So I think I definitely don't want to see the chapter be disengaged from the rest of the world, because I don't think that would be a very strong move to take, especially while the movement's still in such a small scale stage that it's still forming. I think we need to build good relationships with all the other chapters, even if it means a little bit of sacrifice here and there. It's not as though they're asking us to do anything ridiculous, and a lot of people from the Venus Project are directly related to the Zeitgeist movement, and if it's kind of defaming their name, I guess the Zeitgeist movement, if you want to name it anything, wouldn't like it if Venus Project started doing that towards us, and I can see where they're coming from in that regard.
Okay, let me just offer you another perspective on that. If I was Peter, this is how I would have handled the situation if it happened. I would have contacted the people involved and said, hey, I'm getting this heat. Now, I've just given them your information because they've told me that they want to sue me. Now, anybody can be sued for anything, but whether it actually goes to court or is successful in court is a totally different story. But the reality is that the best way to handle that situation from Peter's perspective wouldn't be to get all upset and start screaming at others and say, hey, what are you doing? Take it down, take it down. It would be, I'm not actually responsible for what they do. If you would like to communicate that with them or with the people who are responsible, I'm happy to give the information that I've got to contact them. And you can directly contact them yourself. And if you feel you have any lawsuit, sure, please, by all means, speak to them about that.
And you know what the interesting thing as well is, it comes down to the articles and opinion of a particular individual. It's not the voice of the whole movement, and not really anyone can really do the voice of the whole movement. So getting all annoyed about this, it's really moot. It's just like, getting angry at someone writing an article about something else. It's just like, yeah, if you don't believe it, don't believe it. If it annoys you, send an angry letter to a particular person. You don't,
Yeah, what are you bothering me for? Exactly.
Yeah, has nothing to do with Peter at all, so...
Yeah, I think they're both very good points, and I was wondering, I am a bit late to this meeting, but did I briefly hear before the being said that it was more kind of a witch hunt, kind of more of a personal attack, and this may be being used as an excuse to dissociate David and Karen from the movement, from a top-down approach because of their problems from the DCA, etc. People trying to almost bully them, I guess I'm asking Carrie and David, but I'm just putting this question out there for people in general as well.
Let me put it this way. That's how I feel, pretty much. But I'm trying to put things in a very objective manner. And we were to give you our objective example, if you're part of a group and you've got a particular idea and you really, really believe in it, and you want to, put it out there and inform people about it, that's how the thing should be done, and so on and so forth, because of your ideas. Now, you're not infringing, you're just telling that and saying to people that should be done. Other people who don't like that idea, even if they're the majority, they will get angry with you one day after some time because you're so repetitive like that. That's how I feel. My position is very clear for the movement to abide with the scientific method, for it to apply to its own understanding as well as decisions. That's my beef. That's my major thing, and that's what I'm very much trying to do in restructuring the core, or at least suggesting to restructure the core GCA and many of the decisions, which I was saying are just not with what we preach. Another time, me and Carrie basically perceived as a thorn in the foot because of that, or at least that's my perception, how I feel, how perceived in that group of people.
Okay, yeah, well, from what I've gathered in the last few weeks on these meetings, I think there's definitely some structural issues with the article. I don't think it necessarily means that you've done anything wrong. Like, there's if people are going to be asked to expect everyone back in, unless there's any lying or deliberate distortion of truth to further, like, you know, your own personal interest with everything anyone's doing, I don't see any problems with voicing any information about anything, because that's what Zeitgeist Movement is. But yeah, I still think it's you know, as far as a chapter structure goes, I'd like to see it strongly connected with the global movement. And if others are not in line with that thought, what's the alternative, and how would that arise?
Well, based on what you're saying, as far as I can see, it's either take it down and be part of the movement, whatever that means, or not take it down and not be part of the movement, whatever that means.
Unless there's any lying or deliberate distortion of truth to further, like, you know, your own personal interest with everything anyone's doing, I don't see any problems with voicing any information about anything, because that's what Zeitgeist Movement is. But yeah, I still think it's you know, as far as a chapter structure goes, I'd like to see it strongly connected with the global movement. And if others are not in line with that thought, what's the alternative, and how would that arise?
Well, based on what you're saying, as far as I can see, it's either take it down and be part of the movement, whatever that means, or not take it down and not be part of the movement, whatever that means. Really, honestly, I'm not really sure whether I don't know what I'm trying to say. Besides, I don't like being pushed into a corner, and when I'm pushed into a corner, I come out swinging, and this is what I feel like doing right now.
Just checking my push stop buttons. I think I've got it right. Yeah, I forgot to see. I read the email from Tony. I think the best move would be to ask Peter the nature of his concerns with the magazine. And then, you know, any reasonable person would say, okay, this is, you know, if his concern is obviously this TVP article, ask him what in particular, and, you know, he'll give you an opportunity just to retract anything he has a problem with. Not that I think you should, but you should at least get the opportunity and you should say that to him. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. Also, if he has specific issues with certain aspects of the article, I mean, you know, he'd have to point them out, and, you know, then you can challenge him on specifics rather than just saying, no, you're not allowed to use that magazine anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you get what I'm saying.
To clarify that, it's the PJ. It's not that information was in public. It wasn't in public. It's not like that PJ was informed about this specifically. Roxanne Meadows had said on the interview on our radio show that she was invited in, and this is pretty much the exact quote, that they will be paying themselves the $100,000 from the donations of the movie script. Basically, if you remember, guys, on the Venus Project, they were gathering, asking for money for a movie script writer. They have accumulated $117,000. And again, on that radio show, Roxanne, again, if I may remember the quote exactly, they will be paying themselves that money. And that's what I'm referring to in one of the aspects of it. Exactly, that the money is not going for its direction. It's going to pay the staff of a non-profit organization, which is fair in itself, but they're not directing the funds where they promised should be directed to. And, you know, and they're not transparent about their funds, so I couldn't allude to that as well. That's another aspect of it.
pasted one of the sentences that Peter Joseph wrote in the email. I think it's a fairly good point because obviously last year the Venus Project and Zeitgeist became disassociated from one another. However, we still have fairly similar core values. And I think although it's important, I have to say that I do like the article. I do appreciate the effort that's gone into it. I think it was a good read. However, if we're trying to maintain a healthy relationship with another organization with the same end goal or the same direction, I think maybe it shouldn't be under the Zeitgeist label. It shouldn't be associated with the Zeitgeist movement, although it is perfectly fine for anyone to think whatever they want about any other organization. Might not be the best platform to express that information.
I think it's important to be able to express that information, but at the moment it seems to have become a little bit of a political hot potato. I was just thinking, if we were to take down the article and write back to Peter Joseph, that the obvious thing to say would be that we'd like to put it back up at some point, or have some discussion as to how to revise it so that it can be put back up. I don't think that we should just take down the article and not have any discussion or try to put it back up or anything. And did you want to say something, Simon C?
I was just actually trying to figure out whether my microphone worked, but now that I'm on, I kind of concur with what Mason said. When I saw the article, I was a little bit surprised, but when I read through it, I thought there were some good points in it. Carrie and David, can you please just confirm first that it's David that wants this taken down, or is it the Global Chapter Administration? I've got to admit, I think the article is provocative, and I think given the difficult relationship between the Zeitgeist Movement and TVP, that's probably not a very diplomatic way to go, whatever concerns you've got. But I applaud the calling of TVP on its shortcomings. I think that's appropriate. By that I mean the way it administers its funds, its application to its stated goals, and its lack of academic procedure. I also wonder how much knowledge in the article is based on fact, like about the conditions that Roxanne and Jacques live in Venus, Florida, what kind of car they use, whether they have photovoltaic panels. There are a lot of allusions to the way they live, and I don't know whether that's based on real knowledge or not. Yeah, so that's my bit for the time being.
Another thing.
Just quickly, Simon, to confirm your question, or to answer to your question, it is Peter Joseph himself who is asking for that article to be removed. And I posted in the chat the News Project response to our magazine to the article. Sorry, go on, Damon.
Thanks. So, if you did write back, what I would do is tell Peter Joseph that you intend to put the article back up unless he discusses it with you. Because it's not, people have been expressing that they think that, there's a problem with Peter Joseph not taking the time to discuss these issues before taking rash actions. So if that's the case, then if we do comply in order to stay official, then we need to sort of drive a wedge in there, I suppose, so that we're not written out of the picture.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, a letter back in response is definitely called for. I'd say, look, David, if you're willing, I'd take the article down. And, but first, write a letter and say, look, I'd like you to tell me what's wrong with the article. I'd like you to point out any factual errors. You won't be able to do it. But there's a broader point here about censorship. I mean, if it's a factual article and it's just an opinion piece and nothing actually wrong with it. I've seen pictures of these Russian newspapers who are getting hammered with censorship, and they just leave the pages blank. It's censored across it. It sounds a bit cheeky, but Jesus, man. I saw a little quote on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. It said, journalism is writing something somebody doesn't want you to say. Anything else is PR. And this is, I don't know, I think it's pertinent.
Oh, hi guys. I'm just going to jump in because I have to go. I just wanted to say my part very quickly before I go. So I've just been kind of sitting back listening. So Kerry was saying before about what standpoint will come from. And I personally would say that I'm kind of an idealistic person. And really, do we want to look back in a year and explain to people that we became unofficial because of a disagreement over an article? So if we go back to the reason we are all here, we watched the film, we were all very emotionally affected, or awakened as some people call it. I think globally, we need to be connected to other members of the movement. If we become unofficial, we might as well, change the name of our group, and we'll become something more like Beyond Zero Emissions or Greenpeace or whatever any other environmental or social activist group is. So we essentially would be creating division, where the goal is to create oneness globally. And I can't see how this will be achieved by cutting ourselves off over this thing. So I just think if we just remove it and deal with that later, it will ensure that we're not just reacting emotionally either. Okay, that's all I have to say. And you guys have a good night, and I'm curious to see what outcome is.
I really think that this situation is something that could, if we don't take it down, it will probably just explode and create heaps of problems. I think if we just take it down, the whole situation can be fairly easily diffused, and then we can, after things have settled, we can just ask what it was exactly about the article which was unacceptable for publication, and use this to find out if there is going to be forms of censorship, what kind of framework we need to maintain good relationships with other similar organisations while still being able to voice our opinions. We'll have to just clarify what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. I think for now it's just best to diffuse the situation instead of letting it burn out of control. It won't do anyone any favours.
I, for one, thanks, Gary. I, for one, am really dedicated to the whole idea that the Zeitgeist movement is the presence of a global, organised system. And for that reason, I really wouldn't like to see our chapter disassociated. And I know the way that this seems to be being done, or this threat, I think that's it's pretty unconscionable. I think we've got to somehow work around it, and I think taking the article down or the issue down temporarily, if it's going to defuse the situation so we can deal with it in time, then I think that's the most, instead of being the best outcome for us. And that's not to say anything about, not supporting what David said in it. I think the way it was said is perhaps questionable, not what's in it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I pretty much got fired from Earth Communities the other day after I'd been working there for 2 months because I didn't finish mopping the floor because we got too many customers and I had to go help out in the kitchen. And I understand that, it may not have, it wasn't the fact that I did that which is what got me fired. That was the catalyst. The reason I got fired was probably because someone had a personal problem with me which I wasn't aware of. And I don't think that decisions should be made on that basis, especially if you're advocating a scientific method for social concern. But I don't see how the chapter would even exist if it's disconnected from the global site. It wouldn't be part of the Zeitgeist movement. It would be a different thing altogether. It would just be a friendship group, really. I wouldn't see how it would connect with the ideas we're trying to promote. I just don't see anything working if we're not integrated into the rest of the organization which we're a part of.
Just a quick one out there. Yes, the movement's idea is also, at least in its understanding, ethos, or kind of in the, I guess its understanding, to unite people and not sow division. I so much agree with that, and that's such an honorable thing to do. But I don't see that coming from the core team in this case, at least PJ. It's a very clear divide in this case, and it's very easy, he did that without hesitation, basically. He made that decision. He makes that threat without any hesitation on the Zeitgeist movement, which makes me worried, basically. It makes me worried that so easily such decisions can be pushed. They are not in consideration of the protocols, and they're not in consideration of basically the chapter and the people who are involved in this chapter. Hey Glenn, I'm going to post in the chat room the email in question, the email that why we are over here. And right now we're discussing and asking each other's position on this whole issue and getting informed at this issue. And yes, and thanks for coming.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, I'm still at work and I've got a bit of work to do. I've got a deadline on Monday. I haven't read the article. I'm just following the discussion. I would like to, the bottom line is I'd like to stay connected though, and to find out what is the problem before before any decision is made. But I'm not informed even to the point of having read one, but I notice it.
You're about to put up the email from Peter Josephs, are you, David? I still don't understand exactly what he has said. Has he just said, get rid of it, or you'll be disassociated, or did he give some reasons? Can you give us a synopsis of those discussions with the other people?
I'm happy to post the conversation over here if anybody's keen to read it through from the beginning to the end. It's about 6 emails. Okay, I'll post the whole conversation then.
It seems like an unfortunate set of circumstances here, you know, I mean, without being sort of very diplomatic myself, it's like sticking a finger in a wound by pointing out the flaws in an organisation that we're very much of a like mind in terms of ultimate goals, and yet what Pete Joseph seems to be doing is quite dictatorial. And I can understand your reaction in calling this meeting because of that. It was only last week I was teaching in class globalisation, and I mentioned the Zeitgeist movement, and a couple of my students happened to have heard of it. And before long, I was actually screening Zeitgeist Addendum, and it was pretty eye-opening to my students. And later on, I offered the CD and a worksheet to put on the shelves, but was told by my supervisor that it was too political. In my opinion, there's nothing political about it. There are lots of things we put up on the shelves that have perspectives. They're all fact-based, but can anyone ever present all the facts all at once? No. So, that's sort of censorship or form, and I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm not going to not work there because of it. And the other thing that came to my mind when you, Kerry, and Mason were talking about personality clashes is that I'm looking into the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. and working on it in hopes of one day being useful in a community to facilitate people working together and understanding each other's preferred processes, and it diffuses a lot of conflicts, becoming aware of what your personality type is and what others and what they're best suited to doing. I don't know that I can be of much help at the moment, but it does seem to me that as I'm on the outskirts of all this, I know that there have been other differences between the Australian chapter and the global team along the lines of transparency and emphasis as to what we work on, whether it's awareness raising or actually getting on and doing things. So it does seem to me that emotions have reached a bit of a peak. So, as you said before, Carrie, just checking it and perhaps letting the steam boil off a bit is a really good idea at the moment. Yeah, well, that makes it difficult. I had that impression that he was a bit of an introvert, intuitive thinking, deciding type who works a bit like Obama is supposed to work like this. He's an introvert, sits in the office and reads things and thinks he can figure it all out himself without really hashing it through with other people. Maybe you can just wear PJ down until he changes his mind, like suggest that a statement in the next issue from David that might be a bit ameliorating in some way, rather than removing it, and perhaps calling him on, his ultimatums that are not really a negotiation in any way without any justification. Yeah, but the Spirit of Times really took over, didn't it? It replaced the newsletter that was coming out of the States, right? So it does kind of fly the banner of the Zeitgeist movement worldwide. Yeah. But do people download it from all around the world?
I can give you the statistics. We've got about 20 hard copy subscribers to which the magazine was sent. And the download statistics are a bit bigger when you get to them.
I'd like to say though, I'd like to say that you could, you've got two options that you face with, either take it down or don't take it down. But I think you could have a third option of taking it down and stating in the reply to Peter Joseph that you're going to put it back up unless there's going to be further talks about the article and sort of like trying to get, you could basically force his hand so that he has to engage with you over this issue.
How much support does Peter Joseph has in this move? Maybe call his bluff and don't take it down and talk to everybody else over there and say, this has got to be negotiated.
I don't know about that. If he will or he will not. I don't know that well enough to say that he will or he will not.
Just reading through the email, it looks like he's gotten, it's like he's playing good cop, bad cop, He's written the first part, and it's all in caps and stuff, and then he's being really nice at the end. He's like trying to make up for what he had to say. So it sort of seems like he's giving the impression there that he's got some people breathing down his neck about this, and he's on the hot plate, trying to try and look like he's making a strong position on this or something. But I would just force him to do what you want to do. You can send back a Trojan horse, so to speak. You can send him what he wants. You can take down the article, and then just say that it's going to come back up unless there's further dialogue on this. And so you haven't really acquiesced, and you haven't not acquiesced. So you're basically forcing a stalemate situation there, and so there will have to be more talks, which which is what we want, I think. We want to be heard.
That's an interesting perspective over there. Again, I'm leaving the decision on this up to you guys to make. For the new people that are over here so far, some people had to leave earlier, unfortunately. I got 2 people, and just to clarify again quickly, it breaks down to 2 decisions, either one of those 2 decisions that we have to make. Or there will be a third one, which sort of sounds like what Damon is offering. The first decision is that we either comply and we respond to the threat and we remove the article. I have a few things to say about that, because I need to destroy about 50 copies, hard copies of the magazine, and I need to redo that whole freaking magazine as well, which is a few days of work for me, which is something I'm not really keen for, but that's another issue. Or we don't agree, we don't comply, and we don't toe the line with the threat, and we develop some other idea on top of that. And Damon, to put on your point that, yes, well, I think you're thinking also the same way, and then I feel I had the same example of Peter acting in such a way before, and that's why, a little bit of side topic, I feel that someone is whispering to Peter's ear, or someone is influencing Peter to act as he does right now. And I'm being honest about it, it was pretty much one of the reasons why my behavior was in the GCA, in the global administration team as it was. I'm trying to figure out what is the structure, who is those people who are telling to people to act as it is, because I cannot believe that such a smart person as Peter is, or I'm led to believe a smart person that he is acting so against what he preaches. At least that's my opinion, and again, it's my own suspicion that somebody is telling to Peter or influencing Peter in one way or the other. And if I'm going to go down and go over the board of this shit because of what I have done, at least I can say this at the end, to be wary of such a possibility out there.
Well, I think the fact is we all live in an imperfect world and people are still human, so we've got to sort of work and muddle through. I can't stay forever, so I just want to support what Damon said. That's what I support. Take it down and say we're going to put it back up unless there's more to it. And David, you didn't answer my question about the claims in your article about the living conditions of the Venus Project in terms of what kind of car they drive, how sustainably they're living, etc. If you could answer that, I'd appreciate it. And yeah, there's something else I was going to say. I can't remember though. That's it.
As far as I understand, I've been corrected on one thing, and that's from the letter of response that Venus Project has responded to. There is not only Jack and Roxanne living in the research center, there's apparently 4 people living over there. And from the network and from the people that have visited the center and paid the $200 to visit the center, to be on the tour, I know that there is no solar panels over there, there's no sustainable work over there, and I'm not sure about the car though, but I'm quite sure I would know from those people that they have a sustainable vehicle over there driving around. But yes, so my source is of those things, and something that I cannot put in the magazine, but it's a reference from other people who have visited the research center. And that is as good as it can be, unfortunately, from me. But again, just to clarify, I'm welcoming from the Venus Project the rebuttal. Again, I want to abide to the scientific method in respect to the article in question. It's not that I'm on a rampage raid against the Venus Project because I'm so disgruntled about the Venus Project. I wanted to make that really clear about the article when I wrote it. I wanted to be a informed criticism, and that will be followed up either with a debacle and proof that I was wrong, or a follow-up of improvement from their side. That's the reason. That's how, in my understanding, the scientific method of inquiry works. There is an observation, please improve it. Oh, please tell me that my observation is incorrect or my theory is incorrect.
Yeah, I can see that's what you've tried to do, but I think it goes a little further than that. I think there's more than just an impartial appraisal. There's, the language of it is a bit more provocative than that. So,
can I?
Sorry, can I just finish off there? It's entirely up to you guys, of course, but another suggestion to tackle on to Damon's is that it may be, it may smooth things over to publish a retraction of some, a sort of a partial retraction in some way.
Can I just do my 2 cents worth? As you know, David and Carrie, I initially presented you with my opinion on the article, and I wasn't thrilled about it to begin with. But David, you responded to me, and I think your justification for putting the article out was valid. It's a point of view, and it's not one that you guys share alone. I mean, this point of view about the Venus Project has been, has been transmitted worldwide over the last, ever since the split. So it's certainly not something new and unique to you guys. It's, look, at the end of the day, everyone has their opinion to put forward, and we're not always going to agree on things. But how we react to our differing opinions is what's meant to set the Zeitgeist movement apart from anybody else. Is that we're meant to be diplomatic and be able to discuss our problems, our disagreements, and then come to a way of settling our disputes in a way that we all agree on. So for what it's worth, I don't think you've stepped outside the line. You've stirred the pot, which is probably a good thing. Sometimes the pot needs to be stirred. And I hope that no matter what happens, you guys continue on with Spirit of the Times, because that is such an amazing magazine that I really hope you're in.
I'd just like to respond to it.
I don't think Sonny and myself are really we came in a bit late, obviously, so we're not really keyed into the whole scenario. So perhaps just give a little breakdown for, I know pretty much what's going on, but perhaps just give a little bit of a breakdown for Sonny, a quick gist.
I want to put it out there again, since there are a few other new people over here, from a logical perspective, again, I will say something, I repeated something, but there's a few new people over here, actually quite a lot of new people over here. I want to make a comparison with history. In 2011, where Hamas has decided, is that true or not, I'm not sure, but that's the official story, has launched a rocket into Israel, in which Israel has responded with a vengeful attack on them, shooting hundreds of rockets at them, phosphorus grenades and phosphorus bombs on them, killing children and people alike. In fact, the whole protest that has sprung around the world, reaching thousands of people. Sydney was reaching about 5,000 people, if I'm correct, the protest, and occurred 3 times. The reason for all this protest was mainly because Israel has bombed children's hospitals on the basis that there are terrorists hiding in those hospitals. And I have to say that what's happening over here, at least Peter's decision is, as much as I respect him, respect that person for intelligence, is similar. Is basically in a very rough comparison, and it is a person who is holding a bullet to your loved one and saying that everybody has to evacuate, and saying that everybody has to evacuate the building. The whole chapter should not suffer. Like, if my article is wrong and it's ultimately shit and it's illogical, irrelevant, and it's angering people and all the bad stuff, it shouldn't be the reason for 4,000 people that are part of this chapter to suffer because of just that. And that's a big problem that I have basically on it. But again, I'm the person here on the electric chair over here, and I will not make the decision over here. Just to clarify with people present over here, so far I have 2 people who have left that's saying that they don't want to toe the line, they want to keep the article, and 2 people, Casey and Simon, saying that the article should be removed. And those are the people who are leaving or who have left. Oh, sorry, and Ziggy as well. So that's 3 people. We need to make a decision on that, guys. So maybe we start coming to that decision, starting arriving to that decision. So I have to break it down to two options to make it easier, unfortunately, which is somewhat similar, less similar to consensus, but more similar to a voting system, unfortunately. The first one is from PJ, and it's specifically that we need to remove the article, or else the whole chapter is unofficial. So, option A that we have, or position A that we can take, is to remove the article from circulation as much as we can do, though I have to note that I've got about 50 magazines over here printed, which is costly, and it's virtually impossible to remove it fully from circulation. I'll have to re-edit the magazine as well. Those are the problems that I'll have to do, which is fine, but I won't do them in 2020. Or do we keep the article online and face the possible consequences, real or not, of threats or not? So far we have 3 people saying we should remove the article, and 2 people saying that the article should stay.
I'd just like to say that firstly, the article was written by David, and he's written his own personal point of view on something, and that's fine. I mean, it doesn't necessarily suggest anywhere that this is the point of view of the whole movement. And I think personally that the Zeitgeist movement is the Zeitgeist movement is certainly, in my opinion, shouldn't be about censorship on any level. I mean, it seems like they're saying, the world is your oyster. Let's talk about everything, but don't talk about that. That just doesn't feel right to me. I mean, I don't want to start any confrontations here, but I'm definitely against any sort of censorship.
There's a button at the top of the Teams window. It's a X button with a bit of waves on it. It's mute a microphone for a second. Sorry, it's the X next to the microphone. If you could use that for a second.
Well, after reading that email, I guess my personal kind of viewpoint on Peter's justification is pretty sound. Like, he's pretty much the magnet for a lot of the crap that goes under the Zeitgeist movement banner. But it also says there that there's a lot of other people kind of, I guess, urging Peter to kind of put this forward to, like, dissociate from an Australian chapter, which is quite sad because, I mean, at the end of the day, they understand that it was merely one person's opinion that is obviously one of the coordinators. But at the end of the day, it should simply more be a personal matter of dealing with you directly, not a kind of matter of the whole Australian chapter being shut down. That's kind of like having children and smacking all your children on the ass when one does something wrong. So anyway, I think at the end of the day, it needs to be removed, but obviously there needs to be some words said about the, I guess, the punishment that they're looking to dish out.
It's actually an opportunity for them. If they were really clever about this, it's an opportunity for them, for their PR. And their response to this could be, so profound that it would be thought-provoking and, but they just don't seem to wish to approach it that way.
May I just say, I've read so far, I think, just over half the article, and everything David has said has been spot on. I don't see how, somebody can propose a better future for humanity and society and shun concepts like Creative Commons, like open source, and after all, like freedom of speech. It's a bit bizarre that, we are asked from people on the other side of the world, who've probably, most of them have never met any of us in person, to be part of a very monolithic groupthink, so that, one egoistic individual with a good idea doesn't get their feelings hurt. It it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm going to put something crazy out there. You know, if we all unanimously voted to keep this, I don't think they'd dissociate the chapter, and it'd be the right thing to do. Maybe in an hour, when my emotions subside a little bit, I'll have a somewhat different comment on it, but this is what I'm feeling as I'm reading this.
Okay, cool. Well, guys, if anybody's leaving, please tell me your decision. And let's say in 30 minutes or maybe an hour, if the conversation will continue, I'll call for a vote. Sorry that it's a vote, but it's fair bit of people over here, and I need to run down the thing to unfortunately those two things, and especially we got 24 hours to speed it up the whole process. So sorry if that's inappropriate. I'm just trying to push through, get through the decision. So yes, before you leave, please tell me, or please tell the crowd what is your decision or what is your final opinion about it. And in an hour or half an hour, I'll call for everybody's final opinion about it, of which we'll sum up all of them, and that will be our final decision, basically, of the chapter. I hope that decision purpose is fair, and if it isn't, speak out and we can get through that or to whatever. Alright, well, that being said, I will write down all decisions from every person. I'll write them in a Google Doc that will be attached with me, and out of that, Karen will make the decision objectively as it's possible for a human being to make that, if the article should be kept or removed. I'll create a Google Doc and I'll share it here.
Hey, Tom's here, guys. If I can speak, if you guys can hear me.
Yes, Tom. Hey there. How are you? Please go on.
Good, thanks. Yeah, nice to hear you all. Look, I think I didn't personally have enough time to look for the article and read it, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are in the same situation. For that reason, I would ask for a revision or a chance to us at least a few days or a week. We go read the articles and see the articles, and from then on we can make our decisions. However, regardless of the article, however bad it might be against one group or other, I think that the group should stay alive, the site should stay alive regardless of one individual article and one individual's opinion. So the bottom line is I'm asking for at least a couple of days, a few days, or a week or so time.
Karen, what do you think? Is it possible for us to ask Peter for a week to make the decision? Or do you think that we really don't have the time?
Just on, sorry for being away all that time, but just on that note, Tom, you mentioned, or you said something about asking whether there's another week. From what I read out of that email, the directive was to take it down in 24 hours or else. So I don't know whether there is any space in there for any extension of time. I think it's been quite clearly put to us that either we toe the line and do what somebody else wants us to do off an emotional whim, or we're going to be kicked out of the movement if we don't make a decision in 24 hours to remove it. It's pretty cut and dry. There's no grey area here. I really don't know what you people are still talking about. You either make a decision to remove it, and that's towing the line, and then you put yourself in a position where any other time that this happens, or any other time somebody gets upset with anything that anyone does, then the same repercussions are going to occur. You're going to get threatened. Or you just don't give a fuck about the threat and say, hey, you should have handled that yourself better rather than coming to our back. You should have directed those people to us. Because really, that article has nothing to do with you, Peter. We are the ones who created it. We are our own chapter, remember? You're not even a leader, so what the fuck? And if other people look at you like that, and you're taking that on board, then dude, grow up. You need to learn something. And that's how to reject and ignore other people's dumb opinions.
Yeah.
David, we don't seem to have permission to touch the Google Doc. Can you fix that?
Sorry, it should be Thanks for pointing that out.
Also, may I just add, probably good saying it up front, should we decide that the article stays, I think it's well worthwhile together drafting a response signed by all or some of the heads of chapters, at least.
We don't have all chapter heads over here present, unfortunately. So far we had Ziggy, Ian pretty much, you, and me. And we're missing a few more. We're missing Emily, and we're missing Adelaide as well. Oh yeah, true. Alright, fair enough, we can do that. Well, it would be nice to have that letter. And I think we can do that if after this decision is made, which means we'll need to probably speed up the decision because we have our own lives and we need to attend to them as well.
I think while that's all well and good, like even just like noticing on the page itself, or on the article itself rather, on page 18 or 19, it does have a banner there just stating, the Zeitgeist movement. So I think in future, to really cover your asses, you could really kind of avoid this whole thing by, I guess, making a clear-cut statement that, the views and opinions here are not shared by the Zeitgeist movement coordinators, global coordinators, etc. These are independent views done by people with independent thoughts. But yeah, I suppose you'd have to get rid of a lot of the kind of bannering and stuff, and potentially take it off the Zeitgeist movement website, I guess.
I tend to agree. Very good point, Dabbler. If you're going to put up a disclaimer like that, then you're going to have to sanitize the entire thing with no Zeitgeist logos or anything like that. So, and it's going to have to be an independent magazine that's doing its own thing. So, but look, if that's the case, I would probably put that point over to Pete. I would probably say the spirit of the times doesn't have it doesn't represent the views of the Zeitgeist movement or any members of them or any chapter coordinators or global chapter coordinators. So we really don't feel that we should need to take anything down, or you are responsible for anything that's been said in that magazine or published in that magazine. Now, if it's a matter of having the Zeitgeist name in the magazine anywhere, then you can remove that as well. You can let them know you're happy to remove that. But to censor your article out of the magazine, you're not really happy to do that. So if what you're being told, and honestly, fuck man, I really don't know why we keep going around this circle, but you're really being told that you either get rid of that article or the entire chapter goes out. Now, to save grace, in this position, you guys would be best to say, we're not willing to take the article out, but we are willing to take the Zeitgeist affiliation out of it. And that should solve your problem. And if it doesn't, then you've got a problem that's other than this. Yeah, look, Carrie, what I was suggesting is to throw that at Peter, not in your magazine, because you've got no reason to be telling any of your readers who you're affiliated with or what. But at the same time, if you're going to throw that at Pete, then you need to also be prepared to sanitize your publication so it doesn't reflect any Zeitgeist logos or Venus Project logos or anything like that. Any type of merchandisable things. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. The third-party content is not, any third-party content mentioned in here is not specifically the view of that third party. They're fucking beautiful.
Guys and girls, since we need to gear up to make the decision, whatever decision that is, I would like to inform you or just again rehash you what is the decision process that we'll have over here. I want it to be as close as possible to the consensus-based decision-making system. But ultimately, since this is Karen's project, she will decide on it if the chapter should be, the article should be removed or not. No? Yeah, okay. Well, fair enough. If that's the case, that's the case. But we still need to make somehow the decision to it. Then the way that somehow I'm trying to take out of you and understand what will be the best ideal position is for every one of you to state your opinion, your opposition, and ideally a rationale in the Google document that I'll be posting here in a chat room over here. So please, if you have that link, you can see it, click on it, and write down your position. After you decided on it, or if you're not decided on it, then let's keep on continuing and ask your questions. And hopefully we can get everyone who is here to get their opinion or position on that issue, and that will be, on that basis, we'll make our final decision.
You can even create an article in your next publication that sort of ties up the mess on what's going on here, in the sense that you can say something along the lines of, it's come to your attention that an article in last month's publication was taken the wrong way. I don't know what wording you want to use in that, but in essence, to give the message that what was taken out of that article in the last issue was taken out of context, and create the disclaimer that the magazine is not a mouthpiece for the movement, although it may talk about the movement, the Zeitgeist movement, and the Venus Project. It only does that as a third party, and it doesn't reflect the views of either of those movements. And also perhaps even put an apology in there for anyone that may have misconstrued the context of that earlier article. And that way you've covered your ass. That's what newspapers do when they fuck up. So you could even go ahead and let them know that you're in that article. You can even go ahead and say that a decision's been made. A bit of controversy was established. We were asked to remove the article. However, we're not going in the pursuit of free speech. We're not going to remove that article. However, we are going to remove all insignia, and also including this article right here that we're speaking about. I don't know. Fuck, man, I'm tired. I'm fucking sick, and I really can't think straight. Sorry.
I still can't edit Doc, David, and neither can Sanjin.
Yeah, Ian and Sanjin, try the link below. I'm not sure why you cannot edit the document. Some other people can do that. So maybe the link has changed, and I even cannot recognize it. After all, the link is just full of 1X in capitals and small caps, and then my brain cannot compute such differences between links.
Yep, got it.
Okay, cool. Good.
Hey guys, this is Tom here again. I think we should avoid to be emotional about what's happening, and also at the same time, I know we have been apparently from one article, you're trying to punish the whole bunch of kids who've got their big hopes on the Zeitgeist movement and so forth. It's just not fair. And if that's the case, if for one article they're going to punish us so bad, I personally would violently disagree on that, and I would reflect my opinion to PJ or whoever might be the person making the final decisions. And I think that the talk Kerry just said is the best way, just to, if just one fixing or repairing one article and fix the problem for now until we come to a better conclusion. If that's the way to go, that's the best solution for now until we get this one out of the way. Then the final point I need to make is we are a new movement, and not many people are staying here for too long. And this is just part of the process of a new movement. People get emotional. And, none of us have got a great, at least myself, don't have enough experience in that sense. We need to understand each other's positions and to be a lot more rational than what I can see and what I can hear now. Our final vote would be against any punishment on that degree. And I would like the chapter to stay alive.
Guys,
Gary, just a quick question. Whilst you were having those thoughts in your head, did you also picture yourself on a horse with your face painted half white and half blue? And did those thoughts come in a Scottish accent?
Ian, sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, listen, I'm still of the opinion we should take the article down, man. If you can stomach it, I know it's a bit of a blow. Almost everyone who's going to read the magazine ever has already read it. The point's already been made. The information's out there about the issues of the magazine you already have. They've been ordered, they've been printed, they've ordered the version that's available now. Just send it out there. You can't be held responsible, you can't be, expected to pay twice as much to send your magazine out. That's crazy. Just send what you've already printed. I don't think it's worth fracturing over this one article. Let him have his way, but I'd send a dirty great letter and I'd say, look, I think what you did was out of line. It's not consistent with protocol. You're not even supposed to be the leader of the movement. I understand you have veto power on the website, etc., but this isn't the way the movement's supposed to work, man. And explain, also ask him what the hell was wrong with the article. I want specific points, what was factually in error. I'd also point out that the Venus Project has slammed us on more than one occasion, and I'd talk to him about the Venus Project's infiltration of the linguistic team, and your concerns about that.
Beautiful.
Anyway, that's what I'd say.
Ian, you have opened up my horizons on a different perspective on this as well, my friend. Thank you. In fact, I like it better than my idea because it's more cunning. Good on you, man. I'm glad I didn't write on a Google Doc because I'm really giving a lot of serious thought about what Ian said there. Having Peter hold accountability may not happen. He may not become accountable, but that will also show what sort of what sort of personality he has. It'll help you deal with him in the future.
Before you guys leave, if anybody has to leave, please use the document and state your position or opinion about this matter so we can derive the final decision out of that.
I'm liking where this is going. I think we're getting somewhere with this. We should definitely not sort of just let this issue subside. And like you said, it's going to be probably pretty infamous. What I've put down on the Google thingy there is if we can maybe keep the article, even if you don't. What my suggestion is the Spirit of the Times become an unofficial publication so that it's not tainted by censorship. But to take down the article now and put it up as an unofficial publication. So then people can still see the article, but it just won't be officially zeitgeist. Yeah, so one easy way to do that is just to make it unofficial. I guess Peter Joseph has kind of a point when he says that anything that's done officially in the name of the Zeitgeist movement is sort of slandering him, but if it's unofficial, then nobody can really argue that it's something that Peter Joseph endorsed, and he can fairly distance himself from it. and not have to answer to the people who complain about what's published if it's an unofficial publication.
Why do you think we're recording this?
Benjamin, they did say they didn't say I won't.
No, Benjamin isn't the mic, so I'll have to just read it out what he wants.
Isn't a Perth accent sort of like a South African accent, only a little bit further east? Western Australian, maybe? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yes, the meeting is deteriorating into nonsensical conversations. I think we are pretty much ready to make our final decision on that, or at least read out all of the statements. So if someone didn't state their opinion, please do so. If still someone has any questions, this is your last chance. Other than that, write in a document that it's linked in the chat, your position, opinion, and yeah, based on that, we'll make the final decision.
I have a question.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it though.
Well, my question was, are your balls ironclad, David? I dare say they would have to be, living with Kerry. You two really got no idea what I've just said there, do you? You got no idea what I said. You got no idea how to take it. Good.
I don't know how to take it. I don't know how to respond to it. Yes.
I suggest if we're going down the path of a disclaimer, I mean, to me it's sounding a little bit, like disclaimers to me are a little bit corporate, they're a little bit marketing, they're a little bit government, they're a little bit bullshit. Just something as simple as, these articles are written by individuals with individual ideas. Like, just keep it as simple as possible without going into all the rubbish that's generally associated with disclaimers.
Okay, I'm missing still statements over there from Android, from Simon, but I'm not sure if you're listening to us. Axiom, I don't think you have your statement over there, I can't see it.
Yeah, I never type shit, man, you know me. You don't want to know where my hands have been and where they are, trust me. Actually, I'll tell you something. I've just become involved in a independent documentary film about skating in Australia, skateboarding and the skaters, and how corporations seem to be taking these young people and using them and abusing them and taking them from about the age of 15, 16, all the way through to the age of about 24, 25, and then dumping them back on their doorstep penniless and as alcoholics and some drug abused. It's pretty good.
Make sure you put a disclaimer in there that it's not the view of the Zeitgeist movement.
Actually, no, I went the other way, and I huge disclaimer saying it is the views of everyone in the whole entire planet, including and especially the Venus Project / Zeitgeist movement.
I don't think Simon is over here. I'll write his position. Are you there, Simon? Okay. Simon, what's going on? Yes, Simon. I'm not sure if you've been through the whole process, but I've seen you being online at least. I'm going to link you a document in the chat. Over there, everybody who is stating his opinion about this matter, out of which we're going to make our final decision. Link in the chat.
Was that directed at me? Because I put some bullshit in there and then I deleted it.
Yes, you did. Yes, it's recording and that document will be shown to Peter. And the whole GCA and everybody interested will be public.
I would have to disagree. I mean, I know the magazine is to a large extent you and David doing it by yourselves, but I think to disassociate the magazine from TZM and make it an independent thing would, well, you'd lose a lot of your audience for a start, and you wouldn't get any new audience members from TV, from the Zeitgeist movement. You'd have a hard time getting new readers. Secondly, the purpose of the magazine initially was talking about the Zeitgeist movement, and then it was going to be a gateway magazine to get people interested, get people who weren't familiar with the movement into the movement and thinking about the ideas expressed. And of course, yes, you can continue to write about the same things and hope that people used to, from reading the magazine, start thinking in certain ways, but I think it's really just cutting off your nose to spite your face if we disassociate it from DZM. Yes, there'll probably be other hassles that come up every now and then. There'll be something, but we'll deal with it. I'm really proud of the magazine. I'm proud to know you guys for writing it, and I'd hate to see it. I think it was disassociated from the magazine. I can't see it surviving more than another year.
Just a thought. Would you really be sacrificing your entire audience? I mean, I know that we must have mailing lists of a few thousand people associated with Zeitgeist Australia, but I mean, if you send it out to them and offer them an opportunity to opt out of the spirit of the times, I think, much of the audience remains intact. And furthermore, it opens it up to the wider Australian who may have diverging views from
Benjamin, check your mic now. The magazine would probably retain most of its audience, its current audience now. You're quite right. But it would have a hard time getting new stuff. I mean, yes, it's advertised on the Spirit of Community website, but that doesn't get a lot of traffic yet. Not compared to the Zeitgeist movement. And thanks, man. But we wouldn't get any new readers, or a greatly reduced number of new readers. Secondly, I would, in this letter, if that's what we're going to do, write this letter to Peter Joseph. Part of that would be demanding editorial freedom. Saying we are the Australian chapter, and we're writing for an Australian audience, and we really don't like the way you blah blah blah. And in the future, we're going to reserve the right to publish what the hell we like. Well, I wouldn't say it quite like that, but we'd like more editorial freedom than you have thus far demonstrated, and hopefully that will cover all bases. Anyway, that's all.
I think the disassociation with the Zeitgeist movement is going to be more of a blow to the Zeitgeist movement than to you guys. I mean, I think the magazine is a great forum of reaching people that otherwise wouldn't respond to the movement. And my experience in the cafe setting, that we have magazines in the cafe there, and the response from people when they read them is fantastic. They love them. They always want to take them home with them. And I think that it's going to be a blow to the movement not to have it as a forum. So, but keep going with the spirit of the times. That's I think above anything else, that's the most important thing.
Glenn, since you are distributing the hard copies, please bear in mind that over here we have a print shop. It's printing them, and we're distributing for the cheapest price possible. Over here, the price is cheaper than what you're having them for. Of course, it's just financially beneficial for you to do that.
Thank you. I'll take you up on that.
And yes, contrary to the Venus Project and the rebuttal about the article, the magazine is actually available for free as long as it's not distributed in paper, which costs money and in ink. All right, when I'm looking through positions over here, and we kind of are over here, it was so nice to look at the Google document and see so many things happening. Much less heated discussions. God be let go. So God may be something with God and something fighting to my God. So yes, let's go through the document and see what is the outcome. However, it should be sent out to the recordings and volunteers, to those that we have access to, for them to put a statement over here, listen to the recording. But I want to put the position that we are all right now on as the second recording. So I will count 4. I'm thinking about how to count 4, that are for removing it and the ones that are against removing it. And consider basically out of that everybody's positions and everybody's rationale that they provided over here. And of course, there's a few other suggestions over here, and I don't see any objections for those suggestions made so far. I don't have any especially. Who does? Usually consensus makes a lot of fun. Well, you have more experience about this kind than I do. So then how do compute them? What has to be taken into consideration now is that we don't have all people present that were here throughout the day here. Make sure we got half of what it was here at the beginning of the meeting, and other people had left.